What's up, everybody? This is Dejan, the owner of Tinae's Wealth Management, just checking in to give you all an update on the profit or loss from business, your Schedule C, part of your 1040 for 2021. So for everyone that's been asking me, how do you go about filling out your profit loss statement for your business? Do you file these taxes together? Are your personal and business separate? So how do you go about it? Now, I want to let everyone know that's watching this video, if you have an LLC, a partnership, or S Corp, or even a sole proprietorship, these businesses are pass-through, which means the owners of a company pay the taxes, but the entity itself does not. So the owners would claim the income on personal tax returns, which is why I've pretty much compiled together pretty much a template on how you can go about filling out this information. Now, just taking a look at the screen, you're going to start off by going through pretty much A through E, and you're going to fill out the most basic information. Your name, what type of business you do, the name of the business, your address, as well as the city and state. Now, for those that went online with the IRS, keep in mind you get an EIN number. This EIN number is provided to you online, so you want to make sure you have that so that you can differentiate yourself from other businesses, as well as that social security number. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, usually they don't ask you for an EIN number. So if you're a sole proprietor, keep in mind that it may not be something that you would typically do. Now, when you go through F from J, you'll pretty much see where it says, did you participate in the operations of a business? So you would mark that as yes, of course, for those that operated during the 2021 year. So this is for myself. I didn't have any 1099s, so I pretty much won't check yes for that. And then it takes me down to part one of the income. Now, some people say, well, how do you really go about the gross receipts or sales, the gross profit, knowing the income, the cost of goods sold? And that's a really great question for a lot of people that are filling out their taxes. So what I usually recommend, I use PayPal Business, I use Square, and I use other systems that pretty much notate how I'm getting my income. So I go on my PayPal and I pull up my gross receipts or sales. And for an example, I didn't put my real revenues, but let's just say I made $30,000 for the year. I have a consulting business, so it doesn't really require, a lot of cost of goods sold or any really outside expenses. So I pretty much came up and just put the $30,000 for the gross receipts or sales. And I dragged that down to part 3, to line 5 and line 7. Now, I didn't have any other sources of income to add on to this document alone, so it was pretty easy for me to just add the income. But for other businesses that may have inventory and things like that, make sure you put the cost of goods sold down on that line. And your cost of goods sold is pretty much just what you spend as far as getting your business into operation. So let's just say, you're a tea company. You're pretty much the tea packs, sugar, things of that nature would kind of consider itself as cost of goods sold because it's used to render, services for your business. So when you go to part 2, you see your expenses. Now, for advertising, if you have car and truck expenses, commissions, insurance, these are the type of things that I paid for throughout the course of the year. So as you guys can see, my expenses for the year were $1,450. So I added up each and every last one of these totals, and then I put that on line 28. I subtracted that from the profits that I made from part 1, and that gave me the answer to line 29. So again, you would add each of these up. Oops, my apologies. You would add each of those up, and then you would go through the process of making sure that the math makes sense. So as you guys can see, if you add all of these numbers up that's on here, including the numbers that are here as well, you'll pretty much see how I got that total of $1,450. So I subtracted that from the 30,000, and when I got to line 29, that gave me this answer for $28,550. So make sure you're going back and you're doing the math, because a lot of business owners don't really understand the importance of utilizing these expenses because, like I said, they're tax deductible. So get in the habit of keeping your gross receipts, things that you made money from, things that you paid for. If you travel and do a lot of things like that with your business, you want to make sure you compile those records and put those together so that you can fill them out. Now, just continuing throughout the course, of this sheet, of course, when you get the things like part 3 and part 4, you'll have your cost of goods sold as well as, information for your vehicle if you consider one of those things as, something that you want to add. Now, for business owners, I can't really say too much about your cost of labor and your inventory at the beginning of the year because usually it'll be based off of last year's closing inventory. So you would plug and chug a lot of these numbers, but you would also add the information that you have, as far as materials and supplies and other costs that you may have dealt with throughout the year. So don't forget to include these things on here because it's really important. Now, of course, for part 4, you would include things with your vehicle. If you drive let's just say you have a company vehicle and you keep track of your mileage and things that you spend on the vehicle as far as maintenance, repairs, whatever, you want to make sure you notate things like that as well. And then for part 5, you can list other business expenses that are not included above. So just to give you a recap of the really easiest way to do your Schedule C, I usually say use information that can track a lot of this information. I use PayPal Business and Square, so a lot of my information goes straight over there and I just port these numbers over, especially when I can get, gross receipts of 30,000 and just plug and chug that information in and then go about, going to my freelancer websites where I've paid people for freelancing, going to Amazon, pulling up basically a filter of what I spent in 2021 and adding all of those expenses from those receipts and putting it on here. So that's the easiest way you can really go about it and save yourself the most money. Again, I'm not a CPA, but I can assist you with this, being that I do have a PTIN. So make sure to give us a call at 904-708-8082. This is something that I really think I can help a lot of business owners out with. So if you have a business, this is something that you really want to get your hands on. I'm not going to lie, it's going to be about $200 to $250 to even get this filed for you, but we'll make sure you maximize not only your write-offs and your deductions, but we want to make sure you're getting everything that you qualify for. If you have a home office, if you also have, let's just say, dependents and things of that nature, we want to ensure that you get everything fully taken care of because we understand the importance of this tax season, especially with a lot of changes that's being made. So again, make sure you guys keep your gross receipts, have a system in place. As far as your expenses, make sure you keep your receipts, both physical and digital. And if anything, you want to really be sure that you're utilizing these deductions as much as possible, because a lot of people are afraid to spend money when it comes to business, not realizing that a good portion of that will be reimbursed to you. So that's one of the ways that rich people stay rich is, they utilize things like this so that they can get it back and reinvest into the business. So again, I am a consultant. I can help you prepare your taxes and we can assist you with credit. These are things that I think is really important that you guys should look into. So again, if you need any help or assistance understanding how to go about filling out this information, definitely reach out and give us a call and we'll be able to help you out. So thank you again and you all stay blessed.